So we're in Atlanta at ASW Distillery, makers of Fiddler whiskeys. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's Harry's when I've been there and done some video. He's done several picks with them. I'm pretty fond of everything that they're doing. So they're doing some distillation and some sourcing and blending. They have some really unique, nice expressions that I'm a fan of. So we're gonna come over today, meet with them, go through, do a little tour, taste a few of their products, and let you guys see what they've got going on. So stick around. Like in a real metro area, really metro, like really cool layout. They've got all their swag and stuff, hats, shirts, Glens with ASW on them. Different books, mini barrels. Got a sitting area here. It's really nice. So they host events and stuff. It's really cool. This room's probably my favorite out of the whole place. It's nice and cool in here. It's really be a cool cigar lounge. I'm pretty sure they don't let you smoke in here. You definitely don't smell smoke in here. You see the cool bar they got set up there. I think I'm a little jealous of the bar. I wish I had built a bar similar to that. That's nice. The logo up on the wall.
You a Braves fan at all?
Kind of show you in the window what it looks like for the other business to look across here to this. It's a really cool setup. That's their offices and stuff back there. We'll walk through that area in a little bit. You'll see that. But then this is what everybody sees when they're walking by. Nice and clean, neat. Not real sure what business that is, but it's like a really nice event hall. It's just a really cool area where they're set up. It's very different. You can see their distillation process through the glass there. Everything's pretty tidy in my opinion. And here you got some other businesses. Got like a little hangout area here. ASW on the wall. Like they just took old Connex buildings and made these walls, which I think is really cool. So this is the ASW headquarters and barrel room. We walk into a pretty cool little bar area. And this is all their offices. In that hall. That's like in the little event area that they keep.
And we want to like upgrade a little bit. So what we did is we upgraded it to a 6-year minimum bourbon. So now this is all 6 years old.
Okay.
It is 25% double oaked and
Okay.
we upped the proof to 92 proof. So it used to be 90 proof. It used to be a portion of our own distillate, but what was happening was our own distillate soloist was kind of being cannibalized by Unison, and also because it was our own distillate.
Hey man,
this is Justin, our
Justin,
man.
Brandon, nice to meet you.
Yeah, but also, you know, Solos was being cannibalized by it. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to not only, you know, like if we were to take out our own distillate, we wanted to replace it and upgrade it and make it a better quality product in general. And I think we accomplished that a lot. So this is now minimum 6 years old.
So is it 100% source now, or is
it is 100% source now, but now because of that, we were able to continue this product and grow this product bigger than ever.
Okay.
So this product is pretty much, I mean, it's Justin's
in order
baby,
basically,
so
Unison had gotten to the point where we had to make a decision whether to keep it exactly how it was, which was a blend,
Right.
part of which was the soloist, and no longer have the soloist at all. And we can't really do that because it's some of our favorites.
So
Especially my
so
partner,
is the
Charlie.
Soloist a wheat-based bourbon?
No, it's a high malt bourbon.
Okay.
So this is double copper pot distilled high malt bourbon.
Okay, interesting. And what are we malting there?
So this is gonna be
a lot of different stuff. So it's
Okay.
54%, about 54% corn.
Okay.
And then the malts in it are several different types of barley malt,
Okay.
2 types of rye malt, a wheat malt. So it's a mixture of
four.
Okay,
It's
okay.
It's a 4 grain.
It's technically a
For
4
sure.
grain, but they're
And what's the typical age on that?
it's over 6.
Over 6. Okay. All right. So this is the weeded, which is this particular bottle is 100% sourced now, right?
Yep.
Because y'all removed yours. So before y'all were basically doing a wheat rye blend
Oh well,
or a wheat malt blend. Wheat malt blend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Yeah, I think too, we wanted a product that just, wasn't special because it was like a local bourbon. We want a bourbon that was special because it's a good ass bourbon for the price.
For sure. For sure.
So and the way this is still I still fiddle with everything.
Okay.
This is partially double barrel.
Okay.
Right now, this one is
Meaning you've blended in some double oak.
25.
right. So this is all of these are done as micro batching. So these are 4 barrel batches.
Okay.
So pretty much as small as anything in the industry.
For sure.
We taste every single barrel generally, decide which barrels go with each other. Usually this is 25% double barrel. In 2 weeks it'll be 50%. It just kind of depends. So what you get, you're gonna have to look at the sidebar here to see, this is not always exactly the same. It's always over 6 years. I don't think it'll ever be less than 25% double oaked.
Okay.
But, it's about to be 50%, and then the age obviously changes a little bit. So this is 25% 7 year, and so like when we get this label printed, we get 20,000 of these labels. By
Right.
the time we use it,
Things have changed.
This is a minimum, but we just bottled this, and all of these are probably half a year older. So the new labels that we're just about to get a batch in, it's 25% 7.5, 50% 7, and 25% 6 if my memory serves.
So you have to call it a 6, but it's got some 7.5 in it.
Oh yeah, it's actually
It's really good.
we put it up side by side with Eagle Rare Blind, and it doesn't always win, but it holds its own.
Well,
and it's
Eagle Rare is a rye base, so that's probably
Right,
not
yeah.
quite fair to it, right? Maybe put it up against a Weller or
Rye's
That's the
something.
thing. It crushed Weller Special.
What is the proof of that?
The Eagle Rare? This
This
is
one.
92 proof.
92. I was going to say you just about could put that up against a Weller 107, but it may get cheated
Yeah.
on proof.
the Eagle Rare for kind of the reason we chose that one to compare it to is because you can get you from Georgia.
I'm from Birmingham, but yeah,
Okay,
you can get
so
Eagle Rare
I
here.
don't know if it's
I go
the same as in
I go all
Alabama.
over the place for YouTube, right?
Georgia
So
is just.
I was in Indiana
swimming
yesterday, a
in
hard
Eagle
truth.
Rare right now.
Yeah,
So
I got a
because
case of it in the truck.
You can because when I was in New York, launching our brands up there a month ago, and they were like, "You can get Eagle Rare." They can't get it.
No, and that's just like they can get Weller up north and we can't
So
get it here.
That's why we chose Eagle Rare. It's a little bit different spirit mash bill, but it's about the same. It's actually cheap. It's more expensive than the weeded.
I mean,
And it's everywhere.
I had a guy taste it up against Weller 12, and he said it held its own.
I don't think there's any way Weller 12 holds up to that.
Yeah.
Weller 12 is so watered down to me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the most disappointing wheat pour that I've ever had, and it was just the other night in Kentucky.
Let me guess. Happy Meal.
What year?
Well, I've tried all of them except the 23. I think my favorite was Lot B. The 20 I had so long ago that I thought it was good at the time, but it was also such an old bottle. It may have been Stitz Weller juice at the time. I haven't tried it since it's not been Buffalo Trace.
I keep a Rip 10 on my bar at home. I'm not a fan of the Lot B. The 15 was delicious. The 13 rye is delicious. The 20 year was plain garbage. And I put a post out there. I don't know if this bar, I would just about question whether they watered that bottle down. there again, I'd had some pours throughout the day. My palate was kind of, and it's a 94 proofer.
It sits open a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
It sits a lot.
It was. They wanted $100 for the pour. I paid it
Probably
because.
had sat there. How empty was the bottle?
Oh yeah, it was auctionized. It was about like that. But dude, there's no way I'm buying that bottle for secondary price at all.
Yeah.
No, not when I can go out and buy Heaven Hill 17 that I out drink it.
You want a whiskey that can get oxidized and still taste great.
For sure.
You know.
That's for sure. And dude, I mean, for me, like I don't know in those bars, but for me, I'm not leaving a bottle open 4 or 5 years, and any bottle out of the sunlight should be good for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, you get down to a third of the bottle or less, you need to get on through it, right? But
So yeah, this is you're giving them the 100 proof. So this just got a gold at San Francisco. It's gotten a gold there before. I was hoping for a double gold for this year. This got a silver at San Francisco, which we were surprised about. We were pretty sure this was.
it has a great flavor. I mean, yeah, for my palate, it's a lower proof than what I would prefer, but there's a place for that, right? But it's delicious. It really has a great sweet flavor to it.
Trying to like make it compete with those other like 90 proofers, like your Woodford Reserves, your Larceny, like your anything in that like
For sure.
range of price. Like,
For
you
sure,
just want
your lower
something
proof
that-
maker marks. And,
Yeah, exactly. Something that just
Yeah, we
holds
have
up,
plenty
tastes good,
of
you know?
plenty of stuff in the higher proof and
For
price
sure. Well, and that's the
range.
thing that I don't ever like judge something based off of proof solely, right? But
So I don't know if you explained up here. This is, for the most part, this side is sourced. So unlike most distilleries, we don't just source or just distill.
you do a little bit of both.
We do a lot of both.
Okay.
Most of the companies that do a lot of sourcing that have stills don't have very big stills and don't really crank out much whiskey. We make 500 barrels a year, 450, 500 barrels
Okay.
a year. So we're cranking out a substantial amount of whiskey here. Not a lot of it is bourbon. Most of, I have a very traditional distillation methodology, not necessarily from the bourbon world. It's copper pot distillation, more Scottish style
Okay.
distillation.
Okay.
So the bourbons you get like this one, they're going to be a little outside of the goalposts that a lot of people are expecting for a bourbon.
This
That's
one
dark.
is pot distilled. Is I think this one's 60% double oak, but we've done it 50 and 40%. It's pretty much 40 to 60% double oak for solo.
So yeah,
That's unique, right? But then there are things that are unique that are
it's got-
good.
It's got to also good. I always say that. Yeah, it can't just be unique.
Right.
It has to also be good.
It's almost like, so we're from the South. We know what bless your heart means, right? If I say bless your heart, if sometimes you say unique, it's almost like saying bless your heart. But then there's also times you say unique and it's like, that's really good, but it's different than anything I've ever had. It's
and
unique.
It can also be depending on your taste. Like, so what I was saying, everything on this side, this is all in-house distilled product on this side.
Right?
A lot of my in-house stuff, we do a lot of single malts, we do double malt, we do rye malt, a lot of different variety. Not everything over here is going to be a bourbon drinker's favorite thing,
Okay.
but I'll bet you I've got 2 or 3 things that you will like.
For sure. So I was telling him, I'm pretty sure I had the Encore that Harry picked. I really liked it. And I've had the Heartwood. I liked it. I like the weeded, which is obviously not your stuff, but y'all's touch on it. So I like the weeded. Now the Soloist, for me, it's not for me. It's good. There's nothing bad about that, nothing off-putting. It's just, that's not my palate.
I'd
And
probably give them.
maybe it's the heavy malt, but I want to try it all. Like, anything you want me to try.
These are both cast strength. So the cherry smoke malt is going to give you some smoke, but it's not a peat smoke. It's more like a barbecue smoke.
Okay.
I think you'll really like that one.
Okay.
The Red X is definitely more of a single malt drinker.
Okay. And
That may-
there are some single malts that I really like. There's a Dream Spirit single malt out that I really like. Rare Character, I don't know where they sourced it from. I have a single malt of theirs that I really like. So it's whiskey by whiskey, right? I can't say that there's a genre anymore that I like or don't like, because a few months ago I would have come in here and said, I'm just really not a wheat fan. That wheat is delicious. I like it. I'm not a Maker's fan, but I like certain wheats, right? So I can't say that I'm not a wheat guy. And I said I wasn't a finish guy. I started drinking short barrel stuff. Okay, I'm a finish guy because I like the way they finish whiskey. So I can't just discount an entire genre of whiskey.
Fair.
Well, so the biggest.
Nobody goes into what I always say is no adults go into a restaurant and they're like, I only eat hot dogs.
Right.
Like, that's stupid. Only kids do that. But whiskey drinkers still do that all the time.
They do.
You know?
They absolutely do. I only
And it's
drink
not just
Eagle
bourbon
Rare.
drinkers, it's single malt drinkers too.
For
It's
sure.
Everybody just wants to be pigeonholed, which is just ridiculous.
Well,
Taste
and
it. It's not like you're not going to die if you taste it unless you.
Well, I'll tell you one that got me close is Balcones. I've had it twice, 2 different variations. I thought I was going to die. It was terrible in my opinion. I didn't like it. But there again, I'm not going to tell you that I dislike Texas whiskey because I like Milam and Green and I like Still Austin. So there you have that. But also, I can't come in here and say because I don't like it that it's garbage. I can't say that Balcones is garbage. My buddy with Brad's Bourbon Reviews, loves Balcones. It's apparently not garbage. There's a palate. There's
Balcones is pretty good.
there's a there's a palate. There's a palate for it. Now I had the red label, and then I had the newer rye. Now on the nose, the newer rye was like a mint chocolate. Like it smelled phenomenal, and I put it on my palate and swallowed it before I could not swallow it, and I was like, oh my God, what was that? I don't know what that was. I didn't like it. Brad tried it out of the same bottle that night with me. And he's like, dude, you're being dramatic. That's good. I'm like, it's okay. If you like it, I didn't. I mean, you might like steak cooked a certain way and I may not. You might like pad thai and I may not. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean?
Well, we make a lot of different whiskeys. So usually you can be pretty sure if we don't make a whiskey that you like.
Yeah, y'all have so many SKUs. There's got to be something for every palate, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good approach, as opposed to
a lot of these are not available everywhere.
right.
A lot of this is some of it is picked. Not everything that I do in house, is available all the time everywhere.
Right. So what I'll say about the duality is that your description of it, spot on. It's very good whiskey. You definitely will want to make sure that you want that barbecue flavor when you go for that pour, because it's heavy with a barbecue type.
It's smoky.
Yeah, it's very smoky, and so, but it's good. So it's going to be one of those, just like a honey finish or a maple finish. I'm not going to drink it every day, but I will drink it when I'm like, man, I think I'd like to have that, right? Now this is y'all's distillate.
This is our distillate, and this is a dual finish. So we finished it in an apple brandy cask for 2.5 years.
Our apple brandy cask.
Okay.
And then we finished it in a port cask that had been used once
Already wrong. So it wasn't really a port cask.
What's the age on it? Does it taste like it's got some age on it?
5 or 6 years.
Really?
I'd have to look it up. It might be 6.
It's really good. It doesn't have that.
That one is over 6.
So what would you think the difference between the soloist and this for me is, like the amount of malt?
So this is
variations of malt?
50% malted rye. That one is a bourbon. So that one's just a high.
A lot of corn, high rye.
I think the big things too is the soloist
I
itself.
think what it is when you were tasting the soloist, you were expecting a bourbon.
I was.
And it's weird. This, you knew it wasn't a bourbon, so you weren't expecting. You had.
My mind was a little bit more open.
You had no preconceived.
For
it should taste like this. You already knew it was super weird.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's what tends to get people with soloist is bourbon.
The duality is really good, and if you like a little bit of smoke on your whiskey, because like what is it? Is it pork leg? Pork
leg pecker.
Dude, it's terrible. Like for me, I just don't like that. It just tastes like artificial barbecue flavoring. Like I don't like it. Yeah. But the duality I could drink. I only had it at a bottle share because everybody's like, dude, you got to try it.
Yeah, I know a lot.
Okay, so I haven't tried this one. So this is the single malt.
That's 100% single malt. Yeah, that one you may like.
And malted
malted
barley, right?
Malted barley, right?
A lot of people automatically assume if you say malt, it's barley, and I'm like, dude, you can malt a lot of grains.
With the new rules, unfortunately, when you say single malt, it means barley now.
Okay.
Previously, like you'll see our 100% rye malt whiskey says single malt on there. We're gonna have to take that off
because of the TTB.
Because of the new American single malt rules.
Like so, my buddy Seth uses a trio of malted grains in his whiskey, but no barley. And a lot of people will argue, you can't say malt if there's no barley in it. It's like, yeah, you can malt a lot of different grains, bro.
Yeah,
and he's calling it it's a bourbon with a trio malt. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, but there is no barley.
Yeah, that's the American tradition, and they, in my opinion, kind of have stepped a little bit away from it.
Hey, how's it going?
So that's about a 7-year barrel.
Yeah, so that one's
And
7 years old.
is one of the weirdest malts you can get. It's called Red X. The malt is called Red X. It's from Germany.
Okay.
It's 100% Red X. It has a lot of fruity character.
It does. Like a lot of dark fruit. Like,
dark fruit, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times we get comments like Fruit Loops or Fruit Pebbles.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that kind of.
This time it's gotten so old.
I feel like it's a lot darker fruit than that. I feel like that would be bright, right?
Brighter in the past. This was actually the last barrel of the original distillation batches, and it's, you know, some of that has dissipated, gotten covered up by oak a little bit. Let's
I can't say that I dislike that because I think I like it,
Right,
but it's so different for me.
It's very different.
Yeah, like, but no, that's not balcons. That's not spit it out. That's good. But dude, everything I've tried y'all have like a really good sweetness to the whiskey. Like I like the sweetness that I'm getting from every one of them, and I'm not one that just loves a super sweet whiskey, but the sweetness that y'all have, I like.
Yeah,
but then
so
it's
I think I really prefer dry whiskey from used barrels. I think like can appreciate both. We don't really use a lot of used barrels because it's a pain with the TTB. You know, like I can't call Resurgence, I can't call it a rye malt whiskey if I put it in a used barrel. I have to put that in a new barrel. But also, you know, a used barrel takes 12 or 16 years. We don't have 12 or 16 years anyway, so
right.
You know, we do try to use new barrels that we really like. We use mostly toasted barrels.
Nice.
Not
like toast with a char on it, or
toast with a char on it.
Okay.
Everything is.
Are y'all doing
Kelvins
Kelvins or what? Do you Independent Stave? What are you
mostly
using?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. Okay.
Independent Stave doesn't do toasting really, unless they.
I know the
recently
Kelvin will
started.
do a toast char. I know
so
Detling loves
this
those.
predates that. This is before.
What was this
before
one?
I was able to.
Oh
get
yeah,
it.
I want you to taste that one blind.
Okay. This is gonna be scary. Yeah, now I'm scared.
Yeah, there you go. You just say yay or nay.
I like it. I'm trying. It's also got like smoke on the backside of it, like a barbecue type. But the front end and the mid.
Is that syncopation?
No, that's actually soloist but cast strength.
Oh, that's.
I was testing his theory out that if you didn't know it was a bourbon, if you would like it or not. So that's
Also he might like cast strength better.
I always prefer cast strength.
Well, yeah, so I felt also I tasted this.
Cast strength
soloist,
or foolproof?
I felt like
And
this
there is
soloist
some
was
smoked malt in one of the barley malts that we use. And
This is smoky on the backside. No, it's not this. It's a lighter.
About 5%, and it's
Okay.
beechwood smoke, so it's pretty light. But that's a good pull on that.
Yeah, I tasted this batch too, and I was.
All right, so we had the
I didn't think it was
soloist
that great.
we had the soloist at 92 proof, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it was 100,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's a miss for me, right? And then we come in at cast strength, which is what?
Yeah, so this one clocks in right around. I think this one's what was that 113.8 or something.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like. So there's bottles that I would drink it, and there's bottles I would own, and then there's bottles I would own and have a backup, right?
Yeah.
This is a bottle I would own for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. That's really good.
Yeah, sometimes people prefer the 100 proof on soloist, and then we
There-
prefer the cast strength.
I do
obviously.
too.
Was it
My
Char-
partner Charlie loves he drinks more 100 proof soloist than anything else.
I get so mad at like the older age stuff that we seek after that they proof down, like the Pappy 20. Why proof that down? If we're gonna do a E.H. Taylor like
Oh yeah, the 15
BTAC, why are we gonna proof it down? Why is the Eagle Rare 17 proof down? Why? Come on, man. Why is Sazerac so low? Like, give me the GTS, give me the William LaRue Wellers, give me cast strength.
My pick this year was the one that had the least amount of corn flavor. I wish we had one of your picks with.
That thing-
his had a
that's
little bit more
delicious.
corn, but was a little sweeter.
Y'all doing some smaller barrel stuff, I see.
Only this. It's just for the winners.
And what is that?
This is actually what you just tasted. It's the syncopation.
It is?
That's the single malt bourbon. Yeah.
Okay.
I hate small barrels.
That's the hazmat that I
That's
just
the
had?
hazmat. Yeah.
No kidding.
They are. These are.
Y'all are going in at 125 on these?
Yeah, 125. These are 5 years old in 15-gallon barrels.
And they live here because it's not very hot. Huh?
No, yeah, well, I mean,
are y'all climate controlled in here?
We have one of the only climate controlled distilleries in the world, I think, because this was an art gallery before I built it.
Okay.
So it already had air conditioning, and we kept the air conditioning.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, it's not a particularly. This is, if you go on the other side, these barrels are here. They have logos. It's for when the people have events next door.
Okay.
It's a separate company for it to look a certain way. So while I don't love small barrels, they love them to look a certain way in the window. So that's what they're for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Some pretty heavy, like especially in the heat, like they just.
Yeah. So this is not a super hot, fast environment. This is a much more
aging them low and slow, like smoking a Boston Bud. I like it.
Yeah. So this environment's probably gonna, these 15s in this environment probably didn't age a whole lot faster than a 53-gallon barrel would in South
heat.
Alabama.
Right.
It's gonna move about like those did.
For sure. But I think that's conducive to using the smaller barrel because you don't over impact the whiskey.
Right. Oh yeah. And also the small barrels I get, I got these from a what's the name of it? Barrel mill, and they use Great Lakes wood.
Okay.
So it's really tight growth ring, really slow growth, and it does tend to age a little slower than those are.
Doesn't penetrate nearly as quickly, right?
It's a little slower. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is our production facility. Mash cooker, 1,000-gallon mash cooker. We make a lot of malts in here, which are technically you're not cooking, it's a mashing process.
Okay.
We also do a lot of bourbon, which obviously does get cooked first, then converted with the malt. We pump everything over. Everything is grain in fermentation and distillation, so that's different. So say we're doing a single malt. Single malts are traditionally, both in Scotland and also in America, usually made from wash. So they're not fermenting on the grain. They're mashing and then lautering it like you would a beer.
Okay.
And that's been the traditional way to do barley malts because a couple different reasons. The husk material in the malt takes up a lot of room, so it's not really efficient to have that.
It doesn't break down.
Right, it doesn't break down during fermentation and distillation at all. So it takes up, room somewhat unnecessarily, but also because distilling whiskey from malt comes from making beer from malt, and obviously you don't want to eat your beer, you want to drink it. So lautering or rinsing the liquid off of the solids for beer production and then whiskey production is just how he did it. So what I do when the early distillers came to America, that's how they were making whiskey.
Okay.
With wash instead of mash, because that's how you do it in Ireland and Scotland, where they're coming from. American grains, specifically maize, corn, you can't do that. You can't without a centrifuge. You can't separate the grains.
It breaks down so heavily into the liquid.
It's tiny particles.
Yeah.
So American distillers started doing grain in. They had no choice but to do grain in fermentation and distillation once they started using corn, which was pretty fast because corn obviously grows the best here, at least in this part of America. So the downside to corn, doing a thick mash has its downsides too. Like you have to stir it when it comes to a boil so it doesn't scorch.
Cook it, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But one of the advantages to it is that because it's fermenting with all the grain and then distilling with all the grain in it, you're extracting extra flavor from the grain. So I just applied that concept back to malt or rye or whatever we're doing that day, because the more flavor you can extract from it, the better. And if I'm losing 20% of space in the still, I just got a bigger still, right? Not that big a deal.
Right.
So that's kind of our philosophy from our pot distillation. It's not really a new concept. It's just going back to what the very early distillers would have done with their pot stills, which didn't have doublers or thumpers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like going back to the early 1700s of distillation in America, except only sometimes with corn. We use obviously lots of different grains.
Right.
So after we mash, we pitch yeast, we pump over to 500-gallon fermenters. We use 500 gallons because we try to, I like to keep things as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And 500 gallons with no cooling jacket is about the biggest you can go. Cooling jackets keep it from getting too hot, right? But they're a pain in the ass. They're solenoids, it can just be difficult. Yeah, so 500 gallon fermenters, open top, generally about a 2-day fermentation process.
Okay.
We pump that over to our wash still, which I call a wash still just from the Scottish tradition. It's a mash still because we're always pumping mash. And we can go there. We just got done cleaning them, so they are hot. So don't touch them. Basically, I had Vendome build these stills specifically to allow for my distillation process. In other words, if I had gotten foresight stills from Scotland, I would have scorched all of these batches, every mash I put in here, because they use generally a coil, a steam coil.
Right.
And a couple of different other methods, but usually some kind of coil heat exchanger for the steam, and sometimes a rummager to keep the bottom from scorching or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's more for direct fire stills, which is a few up still. They don't build steam jackets.
Okay.
So Vendome was willing to build me a still that was kind of Scotland on the top and old time America on the bottom. In other words, this has a steam jacket on the bottom and an agitator, an impeller that spins the hell out of the mash to keep it from scorching, so I can do my weird grain in fermentation and distillation without having to do continuous column still steam injection.
Okay.
How they can prevent scorching from happening.
With the steam. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have things live steam. And the advantage that what I was saying about getting more flavor extraction in grain in distillation doesn't necessarily apply to column distillation because it's not in there for the mash is not really in a continuous column, so
right.
It's very long. Versus this process takes about 4 hours. So I'm boiling that mash, extracting all the flavor, and obviously almost all the alcohol for a long period of time, pulling a lot of flavor from it. We do 2 of those in a day. So we run 1,000 gallons of mash. We make 1,000 gallons of mash, usually 2 of those in a day. So we usually brew 2,000 gallons of mash in a day, and then we can distill.
Was that like 10 barrels a day or something of distillate when it's all said and done?
No. No, it's 2 barrels a day would be 1,000 gallons of mash.
2 barrels would be 1,000? Okay.
10 barrels a week, yeah. So we don't mash every day. We don't mash 2,000. Sorry, I was confused. We don't mash 2,000 gallons of mash a day.
Okay.
We usually will do 5 of those in 5,000 gallon mashes in a week.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we do 2,000 gallons in one day. We just don't mash every day.
Okay.
And we distill those 1,000 gallons per day over 5 days.
Gotcha.
So every day that we're running, so the output from the first distillation, called low lines, those get stacked on top of each other. This still is all the spirit still. It's always running at the same time as the wash still. It's just a day removed. So when I'm running the mash here to generate low lines, at the same time I'm running the low lines from the day before in the spirit still.
Okay.
So this distillation, first distillation, we're beating the hell out of it, trying to get all the flavor, obviously all the alcohol that we can out of the mash.
Mm-hmm.
This distillation is where we are distilling it gently at a much cooler temperature, and tasting it and smelling it, sensory analysis for cuts,
Mm-hmm.
to determine what's going to go into a barrel, what's going to get recycled into the next distillation. So the feints, the portion that we don't want to put into a barrel, are
Distill
actually
it again.
the next day. So a portion of it's actually for 3 times distilled.
For sure.
Really, overall, it's like 2.2 times distilled.
Are you guys sweet mash every time or sour mash?
Sweet mash. Yeah, so sour, there's no reason to do sour mash here because we don't have carbonate water. So sour mash, the process of using the dewatering distillage to using the next mash is a way to mitigate really high buffering pH qualities in carbonate water with limestone in it, like in Kentucky and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And whether there can be flavor advantages, there's flavor differences for sure.
For sure.
200 years or 300 years ago, when people started distilling in Kentucky, with that, what I'd consider terrible water to brew or distill with,
mm-hmm.
they had to have some way to acidify it, because in order to mash, you need your mash to be about 5 pH, 5.2 ideally.
For sure.
And because calcium carbonate limestone buffers that pH, without some kind of acidity, you're just not going to get there, and you're going to have yield problems. But after fermentation and distillation, really after fermentation, but after distillation as well, the leftover mash, the stillage, is super acidic because of the yeast creating acid in the mash.
For sure.
And they realized they could use that, they can harness that acidity
to raise
to counteract the high pH, the basicness of their difficult to work with water.
Gotcha.
Whereas in Scotland they have the exact so a fun thing about our distilling is that we have granite water here on the Blue Ridge Mountains, and the Piedmont of Georgia is mostly granite water.
Okay.
It's the same mountains that are in Scotland. Ireland has carbonate water. They have limestone water. That's why they make stout, because the black malts in stout acidify the mash, or help acidify the mash. Huh. That carbonate aquifer, that geography there, or geology rather, of Ireland is the same geology as Kentucky and Tennessee, essentially.
No good.
The whiskey making regions of, I guess, the West, Scotland, Ireland, and the southeastern US used to be connected, and those water problems have followed us all these millennia.
Huh. First time I've ever heard it put like that.
So we don't have to do, we don't.
You have no need for sour mash.
We have no need to do sour mash. Now, if I wanted to make a clone of Kentucky bourbon, I would do a sour mash. But I can't make a clone of Kentucky bourbon on these stills anyway.
Right.
You know, that's why we source our bourbons, because I can't make a better normal bourbon than they can make in the factories up north. I don't know that you could really do it anywhere in Georgia and have it actually compete, because you do need some aspects. You could add calcium carbonate to your water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could add calcium carbonate to your water when you mashed in, and then mash in with stillage, with sour mash stillage. I mean, that's not what I do.
Gotcha.
Can't beat them at that. I also don't make Jamaican rum because I can't have a dunder pit and throw chicken heads in it. I mean, I can at my house. So, they do pretty good at that. And I'll make a bourbon and tell you it's a little bit different than their bourbon. And that's fine, I think, personally.
Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with being unique, because you don't want people confusing your stuff for somebody else.
What I do is not really like anyone else, whether it's in Kentucky or Indiana or Scotland or Ireland. It's just kind of our own thing. And we like I was saying up front, if you want a regular, pretty standard offering bourbon, we have those. Yeah. And we used to make them a little weird with our own spirit, and I still make them. I still do something to almost all of them, like the Georgia Hardwood's full of. That's actually way more work than distilling. I cut those trees down myself. I log them out, buck them, log them out, split off all the sapwood, split them down into slabs, age them on my farm for 5 years, 7 years.
Really?
Then we cut them down into staves. I don't do that part anymore. So I have them band-sawed and charred. I used to do all that myself, that part myself. I do everything before that myself. And so, I mean, that's actually the Fiddler Georgia Heartwood, which has been in-house distilled before. It's currently sourced because we can't keep up with the demand. But also we want it to hit the regular bourbon goalposts, and we're making it just extra with the Georgia Heartwood. You know,
Gotcha.
it's still a lot of work. It's still about as crafty as could be.
Harry
But
told me the
most
story about it
distilleries-
being, Georgia wood, but he didn't tell me you were the one physically
Oh,
harvesting the
me and my
trees.
dad, yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah, I mean, I
cool
think
stories and good whiskey. I mean, it
Yeah.
just it makes the business work.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's basically up here.
Okay.
And this tank below me here is split on the inside. One side is for tanks, one side is for the spirits, which will get pumped over to the barreling tank on the other side of the mash cooker. You'll notice there's no computers. Me or Whit are basically opening steam valves. Everything's
Everything's manual.
valves. It's all pretty much hands-on. I don't like any kind of computers. There's one solenoid in the whole plant, and that's just the temperature solenoid on the mash cooker, so we don't have to babysit that.
For sure. That's awesome.
Prefer not to have control panel with no control panel.
Hands on.
Yeah, it's all just truly handcrafted.
Craft whiskey.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it. So what was the deal with this one? I know that the other one was in the house now.
We didn't get enough from the barrel I picked, so we
Okay.
went and picked the barrel.
Okay.
This was the one he wanted to go with from the start, but it was a little cornier than I liked. It is a little sweeter. So kind of
How much you give me if I spit it out on camera and just go, I like the other one better. Oh my God.
It's all right.
How much you give me if I like it? I'm just trying to make money.
I'll let you swallow it.
Dude,
So I totally don't put that.
that is nice. That's like oaky and cherry and like tart cherry.
This is
I
the
like
first.
that.
So I've been here for 6 years. This is the first thing I ever solo
Yeah.
mashed.
So this was what we actually got this approved the week of the COVID shutdown.
And that's really good.
I didn't buy the grain until the government said I could make a single malt bourbon and approve the label, which they kind of rubber stamped all the COVID era labels or something. And we had been working with Drake, who runs my buddy Drake, who used to be my brewer here at the brewery up in Commerce, Georgia now.
Are there any bottles of this available? Like
It's gone. It's gone.
that's how it always is.
Yeah.
That's how it always is.
Wait, no, we got one.
This is great.
I don't know where that.
Of his pick,
This too.
they're both good. This one. Maybe I forgot the other one by now, but that's my jam right
We're
there.
gonna.
It is cornier though.
It is corny.
I can't. I just.
He don't like the corn.
I can't.
I like something that's gonna be sweet and balanced. And even though it had corn in the flavor profile, I think it has that
It
sweetness.
kills it.
And I think it has
It's
that
just
balance.
everybody's got a flavor they can't.
I gotta go back up there and find my glass.
Yeah.
I think I know which one it was.
My,
Those are two totally different profiles, man. Like I don't get any cherry, anything off this one. It's just oaky and buttery, dark. Those are two totally different, but both freaking fantastic. They're both my jam. Like the mouthfeel that.
Yeah, so that's my thing with my Potts Distillation whiskey. I love mouthfeel. I love thick whiskey.
You've got
That's
a,
what you get. On
and your pick
my
is
distillation.
thicker than his. They're both thick. Yours is thicker, and yours is darker in flavor. This one's got that cherry going on. Either. Put them
Yeah.
together.
So normally we do it as a blend. We'll actually be having a 6-barrel blend coming out in July. This we did kind of as a sneak peek of that for Malt Mania, which is our yearly malt whiskey party releases.
Oh my God, dude. All right, y'all know my profile now. Next thing it comes across, I need to know about it.
Well, yeah, we'll save a bottle of the blend for it. Of course, kind of keep an eye on it.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff, like this isn't really our aging or maturation like area. This is like a finishing area or
Staging for bottling.
yeah, this is like a queue for like this is our bottling area over here.
You can see.
Okay.
You can see our bottling is all still hand done.
Right.
Here's our, like I was saying, micro batches. We literally,
Right.
4, sometimes 5 or 6 barrels. That's what we do, and we bottle it all by hand still. So this is our offices. This all we've expanded into kind of over the years. Is our offices over here.
This is cool.
This is a barrel hall. They're about to have an event in here. People rent this out.
Okay.
And basically this area. I mean, it drives me. I'm not gonna say I don't do that at home now.
Yeah, for the kids, dude. My power bill just keeps going up.
You just never paid a power bill.
There's the problem. You have to teach people sometime. My wife's like, your daughter never gets up. I was like, quit waking her up. Teach her to set her clock and get her butt out of bed.
So yeah, we expanded into this area after. So most of our barrels are actually over on the other side of town at the ASW Whiskey Exchange,
Okay.
which is my rick house and tasting room. I have about 3,000 barrels there.
That was my concern
2,500.
coming over. I was like, am I going to the right place?
Yeah, I know, because we have 3 locations, about to have
Right.
4, because we're opening in a place at the airport too.
No kidding.
Be even more confusing. Yeah, so we opened that rick house before we expanded back here, but I needed more ability to be flexible in this building. So we expanded back here, and this is kind of just a wide array of stuff. A lot of it, I try to, because the exchange is not temperature controlled, I try to have everything aged some at the exchange, and then we'll bring it back here in
Makes
preparation
sense.
for bottling. So we kind of cycle through.
Mhm.
It's full now, so that's getting more challenging.
Age is there, marinates here.
Yeah, this is where, this is stuff that is,
These are different staves, I guess.
these are our remaining 30 gallons. Yeah,
Okay.
mostly used single malts.
Are these different staves y'all
I'm
toss
sorry. Those
in?
are from the Big Green Egg project we just did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right. I
just
saw
did
that.
we did a release. We're doing releases with the Big Green Egg, and these are these staves. This is the original Heartwood. This is what I make. This is what
You still harvest that off your land?
I've never harvested off my land. I'm
Okay.
not cutting down my white oak trees.
Okay.
Hell
All right.
no. I go people. There's always people getting rid of their trees.
Okay.
The first one.
But you physically go
me
out
and my
there
dad
and
go
hire.
and get them and then take it back to my land.
Gotcha.
No, they'd have to pay me a lot of money for my tree. I have 40 acres of oak trees, but I want every single one of them for
No
me.
doubt.
Yeah, so we just find people who are getting rid of trees, sometimes that have already come down, a lot of times. So the original ones were from Jackson County,
Okay.
down near Bear Creek Reservoir. Then I had, the next batch was from Habersham County, where I live, up in the mountains. And those were storm blown trees from that big, I don't know, it was just a big storm that come through like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And we got a bunch from that. That's what we're using right now. And then I have some from a different place in Habersham County, a guy who was just having a bunch of trees next to it that were endangering his house. Those will be the ones we're actually almost out of this from the first Habersham wood. So that we'll be using probably beginning of next year. And then we have some from Hart County up after that. So
Okay.
just going and getting wood, going and getting the trees from other places.
Wherever.
And this is about 3 years. It's been in these barrels in March. So just over 3 years in this barrel, and it was 3 years when I put it in there, a little over.
Oh, no kidding. So
it's
3
about-
years aged, 3 years in the double.
Yep.
Wow.
So about 6 years.
Is that just a toasted barrel, just a char one? Like,
No, that's a Char 3 barrel.
and it's been in there 3
These
years.
are not toasted barrels. This company,
I
which
guess-
is out of business now, did not toast barrels.
I guess there again, in this cool climate, you could go that long. Usually a double oak, like you're thinking 6 months to a year, right? In a typical
it just
heated
kinda
situation.
depends, yeah. So in here, even our exchange location doesn't get that much delta. It doesn't get hot really at all. It's a little bit better than here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny coming down off that proof from the 140.
Yeah. The single vision might have been better saved for last, like tire fire. Yeah.
But this is delicious.
Yeah, it's a good
There again,
This
a
company
bottle
is
that
out
I
of
would own.
business,
Like
the Cooperage. So these are pretty much the only barrels ever.
this is probably a backup bottle right here. That other is definitely a backup bottle. That's good. That's really good.
This one is you told me is top 5 for 6 to 10 year bourbon in San
It's
Francisco.
the best in class.
Yeah, it's
so
got the
it's
best
top
in class.
5 for small batch bourbon in 6
Okay.
years.
I can believe that.
They don't announce the finalists. The winner till November.
So that's ASW here in Atlanta. I'm blown away, guys, by the setup of their area. Like, this is just so metro. It's really clean, got a good feel to it. Really fun to come over here and hang out with them. But they've got something for everybody. Your palate will be pleased with something that they have in there. Obviously, I didn't like everything. I liked most of it. Loved some of it for sure. And it's their distillate that I loved. I liked the wheat that was sourced, but it wasn't as good as what they've distilled, in my opinion. So we'll see what's going on and why they're not distilling the wheat whiskey. But the hazmat was fantastic. Encore is fantastic, and then that pick that they did, the cask strength of the bourbon they do. So y'all come check them out here in Atlanta. Let me know what you think. If you had Fiddler, drop something in the comments. Cheers.